Hi, and welcome to this special edition of Omni Edition Garden City. I'm Dan York. On today's program, we're going to take a look at the millage proposal that Garden City voters will be facing on May 8th, a $3.5 mil proposal that would raise approximately $1.7 million during the first year for the Garden City Police and Fire Departments. This is a dedicated millage proposal for a 4-year period. We're going to show you a video in just a moment that was produced detailing the information regarding the millage proposal, and then we'll have Mayor Randy Walker here, and he'll talk more about the millage proposal. So first, let's take a look at the language that you will see on the ballot come May 8th. Now, the headline is a proposed police and fire millage, and it's the only thing that appears on the May 8th ballot, and the language is a proposal to authorize the levy of 0.35% of the assessed value, which is 3.5 mils, on all real and personal property subject to taxation in the city as new additional millage of a 4-year duration for the sole and exclusive purpose of providing for the operation and equipment of the Garden City Police and Fire Departments. It is estimated that 3.5 mils would raise approximately $1,930,128 when first levied in 2012. Shall the proposed police and fire millage be adopted? Now, the information that you're about to see, both the video and the interview with Mayor Randy Walker, will be available on the city's website at www.gardencitymi.org, and the ballot proposal that I just read also can be found on the city's website. And of course, this program will air throughout the month of April leading up to the election on May 8th. So now let's take a look at the video that details the 3.5 police and fire millage proposal that Garden City residents will have the opportunity to vote on May 8th. This spring, Garden City residents will have the opportunity to vote on a millage proposal that will help decide the direction and future of our city. On May 8th, voters will be asked to vote on a dedicated 4-year police and fire millage that would help fund a portion of the police and fire departments. The city of Garden City, along with almost every community in southeast Michigan, has faced an unprecedented loss of property tax revenue over the last 2 years. This is based on the tremendous decline in home values, a major loss of state revenue sharing, the latest census figures, and the effects of the Headley Amendment passed in 1978 and Proposal A passed in 1994. The 2009-2010 budget marked the first time in the city's history that it has faced declining property tax revenues for operations. Since the 2008-2009 fiscal year, the city's share of property tax revenues has dropped $2.1 million, or 21%. Keep in mind that less than half of every dollar of property tax that residents pay goes to the city government. For a typical homestead taxpayer, 41% goes to the city, 39% goes to the school district, and 20% goes to the county. Since 2001, the city has seen a decline in revenue sharing that comes from the state sales tax. This current budget year, that amounted to $1.3 million. Over the past 3 years, the city has seen a decrease in total revenue of $2.4 million. Last year, due to the major decrease in city revenue, the city was forced to lay off 11 employees. 19 positions were eliminated in all, reducing the amount of full-time city employees from a high of 174 back in 2002 to currently 99. Those cutbacks forced the city to reduce city hall hours, eliminate general fund support for the Maplewood Community Center, resulting in the loss of a home for many community service groups, eliminate all non-self-supporting parks and recreation programs, and eliminate all supportive youth groups like the GCYAA and the Garden City Soccer Club. The City Council was also forced to levy a rubbish collection fee and a special assessment for street lighting to help balance the budget. With the projected reduction in property tax revenue for the upcoming 2012-2013 budget year of 12.2%. The city is facing a shortfall of well over $1 million for the upcoming budget year. The City of Garden City has been proactive in dealing with declining revenues over the past 10 years. The city has offered early retirements to its employees. The city and employee union groups have worked together to negotiate concessions in the areas of employee wages and benefits. Beginning with all new contracts, city employees will be responsible for 20% of their health insurance costs. Further concessions in the area of wages and benefits are currently being negotiated. The city has eliminated several management positions such as Human Resources Director, Building Department and Community Development Director, Deputy Fire Chief and Deputy Police Chief, along with a number of other positions. The city has sought savings through outside contracting in the Building Department, Civic Arena, Parks and Grounds Maintenance, some snow removal, and in custodial services. The city has contracted out animal control to other communities and has consolidated police and fire dispatch with Wayne. The city has also been looking for a way to save money through a possible consolidation of court services with surrounding cities. Meanwhile, just like our residents, the city faces cost increases in health insurance, materials, fuel, services, and legacy costs. The city is painfully aware of the plight of many of our residents, who have either seen a decrease in pay or lost their jobs entirely. Our residents are also facing unprecedented times with falling home values and upside-down mortgages. The city has reached a critical point in its history. Garden City is facing additional major cuts to go along with those already made during the 2011-2012 budget year. Projected cuts for 2012-2013 could include layoffs and the elimination of more services. Ultimately, those decisions would be made by the mayor and city council. The millage proposal that residents will have the opportunity to vote on May 8th would allow Garden City to bridge the gap and maintain most of the services that it currently offers in some form. The maximum the millage proposal could collect in the first year is $1.9 million. The proposed term of the millage is 4 years. That money would be dedicated to the police and fire departments. The city would then be able to shift a portion of the money that is currently going to fund the police and fire departments back to the general fund to avoid layoffs and program cuts in other areas. The city will continue to pursue other avenues of cost cutting and revenue enhancement. Based on a home value of $70,000, a Garden City homeowner would pay $122 per year or $10 per month. To find how this millage would affect you, multiply the taxable value of your home by 0.0035. Your newest taxable value can be found on the Notice of Assessment, Taxable Value, and Property Classification that you received from the city in late February, or by calling the City Tax Department at 734-793-1610. That's 734-793-1610. You can also visit the city's website and use the millage calculator that you'll find on the homepage. The city is projecting property tax revenues to continue to fall through 2014. The City of Garden City is still attempting to find creative ways to deal with the current financial crisis, while still maintaining the services and quality of life programs that Garden City residents have enjoyed for decades. The city and its residents must decide together the direction of our community for now and the future. More information can be found by visiting the city's website at www.gardencitymi.org or by contacting the city manager's office at 734-793-1660. For information regarding absentee voting, call the city clerk's office at 734-793-1620 or visit the city clerk's portion of the website at www.gardencitymi.org/clerk. Please be informed and then make your voice heard on May 8th. So you had an opportunity now to see the video that we produced for the May 8th millage election, a 3.5 dedicated police and fire millage. And with us now is Mayor Randy Walker to talk about the millage proposal. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Dan.
Why does the city need a millage proposal? I know folks just saw that video, but in your words, why does the city need this millage proposal?
Well, Garden City's taxable value has gone down 30% over the last 5 years. And our SEV has decreased to 45% in the same time period. Our latest assessment numbers were down 12%. This put the city down another $1 million in revenue.
And that's projected for the upcoming year.
That's correct. And we cannot continue to give the city services the residents have come to expect with this continued downward trend of reduced revenue coming into the city. And I'd like to remind the residents that 80% of our taxable revenue comes from Garden City residential property tax, unlike other communities that have a large industrial tax base.
People use the phrase bedroom community in referring to Garden City, and what that means is just that it's mostly
Absolutely.
Residential,
Yep.
that the majority of the revenue that the city sees is from residential taxpayers, so there isn't a mall or there isn't a plant or some large industry that can help supplement the city very much in their tax base.
That's correct.
Now, if this millage were to pass, again, it's a 3.5 mil proposal. If it were to pass, what does that mean to the city?
That allows us to maintain our current manpower status. We will not be hiring any additional employees, as some residents have stated. And again, I'd like to remind the residents, we used to run the city on a $20 million budget. Our projected revenue for the next fiscal year is $15 million.
So when we say we're going to maintain our current manpower standards and maintain our current services, those services are reduced already from what they were just a few years ago.
And I will say we are a bare bones manpower now. And this is, like, again, because of that $1 million revenue loss, we're just going to be able to maintain. Again, we're not going to be hiring anybody. This is just allowing us to maintain the manpower that we have right now.
Why a dedicated police and fire millage? Originally, the conversation was about a Headley override. Why are we doing a police and fire millage that's dedicated?
Well, we chose a dedicated millage after listening to the residents. And a dedicated millage allows us to place a stop date or a sunset clause, if you will, on the millage.
Which a Headley override would not have allowed us to do.
That's correct.
Okay. What does 3.5 mils raise? How much money are we talking about for the city?
Well, 1 mil, and a lot of residents get mixed up. They think a mil means $1 million, and it doesn't. 1 mil is equal to and generates $501,000 to the city. And that brings in $1.7 million per year for the 3.5 mils. What does that mean to the resident that has a taxable value of $35K on their latest assessment? That would cost them $122 a year.
And when you're talking about a taxable value of $35,000, that would be the taxable value on a $70,000 home.
That's correct.
Which is approximately the average home value here
Right.
in Garden City right now.
Right now it is, yes.
All right, so we're going for a dedicated police and fire millage, but the problems in the community spread over all of the departments. How does this help other departments and other services that the city provides?
Well, with the police and fire dedicated millage, we will remove a portion of their current budget to help other departments in the city. We want the voters to understand this, and that's how we plan on using the money.
So if approximately $1.7 million comes into the city, comes into the police and fire department, that money will be dedicated towards their budgets, and their budgets combined probably account for about $7 million or over $7 million. Yep. So $1.7 million would be shifted into their accounts, into their budgets, and then $1.7 million would come out of those budgets to be allowed to be used for other services inside of the community.
That's correct.
But again, this is just to stay even and to stay current with what we currently have.
That's correct.
Now, the city has obviously done things to this point. This was not, again, a surprise to us. The amount of the decrease in the value of homes was a surprise. but what has the city done to this point to try to get ahead of this declining revenue stream?
Since 2008, council has done many tasks, and the unions and the employees. We renegotiated city employee contracts, reducing benefits and salaries. We eliminated vision care benefits and increased prescription copays. We restructured all city departments, eliminated deputy police and fire chief positions, lieutenant positions, sergeant positions, supervisor positions. Full-time personnel in Garden City, full-time employees, has dropped from 175 employees in 2002 to 99 employees, full-time employees, this fiscal year. This reduced staffing came from attrition, incentives, and layoffs. We consolidated 911 dispatch with the City of Wayne. We contracted animal control services to the City of Romulus. The police department went to 12-hour shifts, just 2 shifts a day, to cut on overtime costs. We saved thousands of dollars using MEBS, a healthcare alternative, to offset the ever-rising cost of Blue Cross cost. We reduced our legal cost by having our city attorney only attend the city council meetings as needed. These are just some that I haven't even mentioned all of them. And I would like to also mention SIMCOG, which stands for Southeastern Michigan Council of Governments, recently completed a fiscal assessment of Garden City. We were the best of the best as far as benchmark communities. Benchmark meaning where a community should strive to achieve to be in running their city operations. Garden City currently has 5.1 employees per 1,000 residents. The nearest city to us was 9 employees per 1,000 residents. Our personnel costs for wages and benefits is average when compared to the other benchmark communities, but because we're paying fewer employees, that makes us even better than the benchmark communities.
So as we have decreased employees, which we've done significantly now,
Yep.
We really haven't decreased a lot of services to the residents. There hasn't been a lot that the residents have seen cut from the services that they receive. So basically, we've just asked those employees to do more work.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, what will the city do going forward? Let's assume this passes. The city obviously is not done, still looking for ways to bring in more revenue to the community and to cut their costs.
We will continue to look to consolidate wherever possible. Like right now, we're currently looking at consolidating our courts, and we will continue. All departments will look to apply for grants, to bring grant money in wherever possible, and we've done a good job at doing that.
Now, one of the things that happened recently is that the fire department was able to receive a grant which requires very little match to purchase a brand new fire truck.
You're talking $300,000 fire truck we got with grant money.
And that grant was done and handled by one of the firefighters themselves.
Absolutely. Grant money is what kept the Maplewood Community Center going for youth at risk. Monica Fulton applied for that grant, and that's basically what's keeping the Maplewood Center going.
And we've talked about that a lot on this program.
Absolutely.
That without the Family Resource Center funding, which comes from the federal government through the county, Maplewood Center more than likely would have closed, and there wouldn't have been a facility for the library, and there wouldn't have been a facility for the senior program.
Absolutely. And while we're on that, I'd like to mention the Parks and Rec is basically one employee. And the only reason the Parks and Rec is still operating is because it's self-supporting. The adult softball, the ice rink, they're staying open because of selling the ice time and the fees to play adult softball. Otherwise, the Parks and Rec would not exist.
No tax revenues go into paying
it's all
Parks and Recreation
all
right now.
self-supported, all self-supported. So these are many of the things that we've done, and I haven't listed them all, but we have been cutting since 2008.
What does the city do if this millage does not pass?
Well, we will have to cut city services, including police and fire, and unfortunately that means layoffs. We will be forced to come up with other revenue generators, like the street lighting assessment and the rubbish fees that we implemented this last fiscal year.
So out of a $15 million budget, we'd be looking to cut $1.7 million. And really, now that we've made such substantial cuts at the Department of Public Service, in Parks and Recreation, here at City Hall, really that only leaves us Police and Fire that has not been substantially affected by these cuts.
That's correct. That's correct.
Last year, the city attempted to a millage proposal that was 12 mills, that most people considered was unwieldy, that was kind of a debacle.
Yes.
Why should the residents trust City Hall? Why should the residents trust the mayor and council this time around?
That's a very good question, Dan. The residents spoke this last November and elected a new council. Although the amount of the 12 mills was ill-advised, however, the need for a lesser millage is still valid.
Okay, and because of things that we have done, the 3.5 millage will be enough to allow us to maintain current levels of service and staffing within the community and continue to provide police and fire service, to continue to provide a city hall that is open, and to continue to provide DPS services for the residents of the community.
Yes. Again, we are bare bones manpower, and this millage will allow us just to maintain current manpower levels and hope that property values will be on the upswing at the end of the 4 years. And as your mayor, I urge the residents to consider the services that you want, the resources we have, and vote on May 8th.
All right. Well, Mayor Randy Walker, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to be with us, and I wish you the best of luck with all things citywide, city-wise, and business-wise when it comes to running our community.
Thank you, Dan.
All right. We'll have more on this Omni Edition Millage Special right after this.
The 9/11 Memorial will honor my partner and the officers who responded that morning.
It's for my brother.
And my 343 brothers who didn't make it.
It's about hope for the future.
So we always remember September 11th.
For my husband who never came home.
And the first responders who saved my life.
This shows the world that we can rebuild.
That we are united.
And that we are strong.
Because the best of humanity can overcome the worst hate.
It's for all the heroes like my dad.
This year, the National September 11th Memorial opens in New York City. Join us to honor, remember, and reunite. You can help right now by texting the word HOPE to 80088 to give $10.
Thank you very much for watching this special edition of Omni Edition Garden City, detailing the May 8th millage proposal, the 3.5 dedicated police and fire millage. And my thanks also to Mayor Randy Walker for appearing on this program. We remind you that this show can be seen on GCTV throughout the election season up until May 8th. And all of this information, both the video and the interview with the mayor, along with the ballot proposal language, can be found at the city's website, www.gardencitymi.org/GCTV. And most importantly, make sure that on May 8th, you get out and vote. Thank you very much for watching, and good night, everyone.